Welsh literature? Triumphant? Well, perhaps Dylan Thomas is the great exception, as many people, in Wales and around the world, regard Under Milkwood as quintessentially Welsh. Yet in many ways, Under Milkwood is not Welsh literature, nor is Cherregib a uniquely Welsh village. Rather the opposite. It's the universality of village life and the salty individuality of the characters that makes them so popular and so enduring. Just as Shakespeare is so popular and enduring because of the universality of his themes, Under Milkwood makes Wales the world, and the world Wales. And only Dylan Thomas has achieved that feat. It feels so contemporary because it's like reality TV, showing how people really are, and how well or badly they behave. And that hasn't changed much in the last 75 or so years. But what makes it triumphant is Thomas's wondrous use of language. Although it's in English, the language is archetypally Welsh in its rhetorical style, natural rhythms, earthy issues, and caring sentiments. So it was a play for voices, 63 of them are listed, and he originally intended Larne's villagers to play themselves. That's how true to life he thought it was. Although it was actually first performed on stage, with him reading several voices, in New York in 1953, before being broadcast by the BBC in 1954, months after his death. It's set in Cherregib, bugger all backwards. Located under Cherregib Hill, where the old wizards made themselves a wife out of flowers, and it runs from night through day and back to night. Although it is universal in its appeal, Thomas very firmly locates it in Wales, name-checking places mainly in Carmarthenshire. So in his morning service, the Reverend Eli Jenkins of Bethesda Chapel recites his own poem, mentioning Cader Idris, Tempest Torn, by Sawddwy Taff and Tawi broad and free, and Carreg Cennin, King of Time. The play starts in the silent, black-bandaged night, when dreamers are rocked to sleep by the sea. At the sea end of town, Mr. and Mrs. Floyd, the Cocklers, are sleeping as quiet as death, side by wrinkled side, toothless, salt and brown, like two old kippers in a box. Meanwhile, Miss Price dreams of her lover, Samson syrup gold-maned, whacking-thighed and piping hot, scooping low over her lonely, loving, hot water-bottled body. As dawn inches up Cherregib, this snip of a morning is wild and fruit-warm, the streets, fields, sands and waters springing in the young sun. So the morning is larked and crowed and belling. There are herring gulls heckling down in the harbour where the fishermen spit and prop the morning up, and with lazy blue eyes gaze at that milkmaid whispering water with no ruck or ripple, although it is rather wonderfully called a Jolly Rogered sea. Thomas says, the shops squeak open, including Mrs. Organ Morgan's shop, which sells custard, buckets, henna, rat traps, shrimp nets, sugar, stamps, confetti, paraffin, hatchets, whistles. There's the clip-clop of horses on the sun-honeyed cobbles, while bread is baking, pigs are grunting, chop goes the butcher, milk churns bell, tills ring, dogs shout, saws sing. And you can hear the dumb goose hiss of the wives around the village pump. And willy-nilly the postman's wife steams open Mr. Mogg Edwards' letter to Myfanwy Price and reads it aloud to willy-nilly, because Mogg is a draper mad with love, who loves Myfanwy more than flannelette and calico, candlewick, muslin, poplin. And he hopes to keep her warm by lying by your side like a Sunday roast. This is shopkeeper Mogg Edwards, who advertises that he is a costumier and master tailor for West End negligée, lingerie, tea gowns with economical outfitting for agricultural employment, our speciality. Mrs. Dyebread too takes it easy, while her cohabiting Mrs. Diebread 1 goes shopping, capped and shawled and no old corset, nice to be comfy, nice to be nice. Looking in the windows as she passes, she can see curtained fernpot, text and trinket, harmonium, holy dresser, watercolours done by hand, china dog and rosy tin tea caddy. And here's PC Attila Rees, ox broad, barge booted, lumbering down towards the strand to see that the sea is still there. And Lily Smalls, down on her knees, scrubbing her front step, but she's tucked her dress in a blue mass. Oh, the baggage! Meanwhile, Polly Garter is in her garden where nothing grows, only washing and babies. In the Sailor's Arms, the ship's clock in the bar says 11:30, opening time, but the hands of the clock have stayed still at 11:30 for 50 years. It is always opening time in the Sailor's Arms. Soon, the sunny, slow, lulling afternoon yawns and moons through the dozy town. Then, buzzes like lazy bees as nanny goats hum and gently butt the sun. The children let out of school take up the dance of the world, the courting manoeuvres of the young, and one of the boys, perhaps Johnny Christo, gets up to no good with one of the girls, and paddles blind home through the weeping end of the world, and howls for his milky mum, for her cowl and buttermilk and cow breath, and Welsh cakes and the fat birth-smelling bed and moonlit kitchen of her arms. But it's not only the children that have been thinking about sex. Mr. Waldo, rabbit catcher, barber, herbalist, cat doctor, quack, has been thinking of a woman soft as Eve and sharp as sciatica. And Mrs. Organ Morgan catches two lovers up in the hills claiming they were bird nesting. But she knew, you don't go nesting in your combinations, like Mr. Waldo was wearing, and your dress nearly over your head like Polly Garter's. Oh, she says, they didn't fool me. As the afternoon fades, Utah Watkins shouts to his deaf dog, who smiles and licks his hands. Then he bawls at his herd of summer-breathed slaves, Meg, Buttercup, Theodosia and Daisy among them, walking delicately back to the farm, the end of the spring day reflected in the lakes of their great eyes. Now, dusk is drowned forever until tomorrow, because Llaregib is the capital of dusk. Mr. Benyon the butcher will have his bad taste jokes, so when his wife tells him the cat is enjoying the liver, he says, "She ought to, it's her brother's." And Mrs. Benyon screams, "We're eating pussycat!" So he doubles down, saying, "Yesterday we had mole." Willy-nilly's wife has reported as very small news that Mr. Pugh's bought a book now on how to do in Mrs. Pugh, and having had a supper of cold grey cottage pie, Mr. Pugh foxes into his chemist's den and there cooks up a fricassee of deadly nightshade, nicotine, hot frog, cyanide and bat spit for his needling stalactite hag and bednag of a poker-backed nutcracker wife. Cherry Owen is as sober as Sunday until he gets drunk as a deacon. So Mrs. Cherry Owen good-naturedly waits for him to come home drunk like last night when you took off your trousers, danced on the table, and said you were King Solomon, Owen, and I was your Mrs. Sheba. But that's nothing. The sea lawyer, Alfred Pomeroy Jones, had a thirst like a dredger. Lord Cutglass lives a life at siege, fearing that at any moment an unknown enemy will loot and savage, but they won't catch him napping, because he has 66 clocks, all set at different hours, which at 66 different times in his fish slimy kitchen ping, strike, tick, chime and talk, so he never sleeps. Mrs. Ogmore Pritchard, though, wills herself to cold, quick sleep, and conjures up acid love that both her dead husbands, Mr. Ogmore and Mr. Pritchard, are horror-struck, hoping it's not for them. Jack Black makes sure he behaves himself by sleeping in his religious trousers, their flies sewn up by cobbler's thread, while every night the old unwinking men watch beady-eyed the long night through in case death catches them asleep. Captain Tomcat with a nose like strawberries and "I love you, Rosie Probert" tattooed on his belly, nightly sails to see the dead and hopes that Rosie, his cosy love, his easy as easy, will let me shipwreck in your thighs. So, despite his choice of village name, Thomas demonstrates that his passion for Wales and Welsh life is far from bugger all, and his true views are expressed by the Reverend Eli Jenkins, and it's a plea to look kindly on the village and by extension Wales. We are not wholly bad or good, who live our lives under Milkwood, and thou, I know, wilt be the first to see our best side, not our worst. We say Dylan Thomas triumphed in presenting our best side, and that's what we always try to do here at the History of Wales Triumphant. Present our best side, which isn't perfect, but it's the best we can do right now.